They got me, guys. They got me good. It is almost time for our autumn equinox. I did want to share my tentative TBR for this magical readathon round, just in case you're wondering. Some of you may not be, that's okay. I need to pass 8 subjects if I want to successfully finish 3rd year in my Dream Walker career path. It's only a 3rd year for me because I have actually banked 1 year in Rift Architect career path before I somehow swapped my mind. I don't know why I did that, I should have just stuck with it. But anyway, we did what we did and now consequences. So I will just be following the syllabus to share with you what my TBR looks like in that order. So I need Outstanding in Alchemy, which had a prompt of sun on the cover. I've actually gone with something that I will very likely regret, perhaps? I don't know. I just feel like the chances are significant of me not loving this book. However, I'm going into this. They got me, guys. They got me good. Initially tried to watch this show when it first came out. Couldn't handle it. The cringe was cringing. It was just a hard watch, and I don't know how, but this year, like a month ago, I decided to try the show again and got completely sucked in without knowing that the 3rd season is actually like ongoing. By the time that I caught up, I only had like 3 episodes of the 3rd season out, and then I joined the masses of just waiting for it as a midweek treat every Wednesday. So, you may have sussed it out already, but I am talking about the summer. Ooh, look how pretty. The summer I turned pretty. The entire premise is a little bit maddening. We are following the main girl. I want to say Isabella, but she goes by Belly, which it is what it is. She spends her summers at the beach house with her friends who are the kids of this mother's best friend, Conrad and Jeremiah. But this summer is a little bit different because our main character has gone through your puberty glow up, I guess. I fear it is a little bit like, you know, Princess Diaries of like, oh, you'll sort your hair, you take your glasses off. As someone, I know I'm aware that I'm not wearing glasses today, but I wear my glasses in like 95% of the time. And I do still take offense to this trope, so whatever. I have heard that the TV show actually has improved the books, but because I am like so invested in it, I feel like I'll hopefully have a good time with this either way. And on top of that, of course, it should be a pretty easy and fast read, which is perfect for a readathon. It will hopefully get the momentum going, and if nothing else, it'll be entertaining even if I don't like it for myself. And this edition does have the sun on the cover, so I have gone with this. Actually, I am actually really excited to read this and to see what the differences are. I know of some of the differences. I have been spoiled for a lot of like the last book. But you know what? I'm not even mad. I think that if anything, might help my case whilst reading this. So that's my Alchemy, which I feel like is fitting because obviously there's like chemistry. Next, I need both Outstanding and Qualified for my Art of Illusions. The Outstanding prompt was Autumnal setting, so cover or inside of the book. Qualified had Technology on the cover. So I'm a little bit behind schedule compared to everyone else on this book, but you will agree that it screams autumn and it is set up as like a kind of like Gilmore Girls charmed vibes, and I think it would be perfect to transition me from summer to autumn, and that's Rewitched. I really like the author of this book overall on socials. She seems to be a very sweet person. She seems to be very well-meaning. I have since heard some mixed opinions on the book, but that might actually help me going into this so that I'm hopefully going to be actually pleasantly surprised. But I am looking for a very specific vibe from this book. As I said, it's kind of like nostalgic feeling. I think it is about a girl who is turning 30 and she's burnt out but then gets invited to her coven to be tested as a witch or something like that. I don't know, but I'm honestly very happy to go into this blindly. There's a cat. It has these overall kind of like, if you yourself are in your 30s and you grew up around the shows that we did grow up, it's supposed to be reminiscent of that. That is how it was marketed. That is the vibe that it's giving, and I'm very actually excited to test this out and see how I feel, and if it is going to be a very good transition. Maybe I should try and figure out the order of what we'll mood read. For the technology on the cover, I actually went with Death at Morning House. which was, I also think, like last year's release. But if you see, there is a camera on the chair. So this is by the author of Truly Devious, which I haven't read, so that actually tells me very little. And it is a spooky house type of situation. After a summer job gone wrong, our main character gets a new one, which is giving tours in this kind of like abandoned house, but with presumably some sort of historical significance. But there's deaths and it's spooky stuff. I want to say it's gonna be like horror light. The synopsis sounds a little bit humorous. It kind of has a very promising, again, kind of introduction to the autumnal months, hopefully also entertaining, and I've never tried this author before again, so I am quite excited to do that. I will say I have not heard like anything about this book since it came out, like opinion wise, so if you do have this under your belt and you have read this, please let me know what you thought, because I would love to kind of gather some opinions so I can adjust my expectations as well. But that will be my qualified for, what did I say? Art of Illusion. Spells and incantations. I need outstanding, and I had to roll a die, which I'm really hoping now I filmed when I was setting this TBR. And I rolled a 3, which to me, which again, you can go either way, you can go 200 to 300 or 300 to 400, it's really up to you. On our Discord, I did list them up like properly, and I will pop that here for the screenshot. So I did roll a 3, which was 200 to 300 pages, and it was actually very surprisingly hard to find. But I ended up going with Hold Back the Tide, which is a book that I have had for so many years. I can't quite tell you how many years exactly. What's the release date? Maybe it was around that time. Oh, 2020? I thought it was older. Okay, well, 2020. The synopsis is extremely vague, so to this day I actually don't really know what this is about. So the little bits on the back, because I cannot actually tell you in my own words because I don't understand what the book is about. Here are the rules of living with a murderer. Everyone in Ormscola, I'm not sure, knows what happened to Alva Douglas's mother all these years ago. It's why Alva can't wait to leave. But when dark forces begin to stir in the surrounding mountains, Alva has to face a very different future to one she's been dreaming of and question everything she thought she knew about her past. A chilling tale about the dire costs of secrecy and greed. Hold Back the Tide will sink its teeth into you and never let go. It's basically kind of like a murdery, thrillery book, and it is indeed under 300 pages. Had some decent ratings, which I did look into because I am currently-ish in a slump, and so I was really trying to pick books that would also curate an anti-slump effect, hopefully, overall. So you kind of have noticed maybe there's a little bit more thriller-leaning ones, or easier to sink your teeth into, or entertaining reads in this TBR. That was my kind of goal. I will get back to you to let you know if I've succeeded or completely missed the mark, but that is the idea. So this has gone on to that. I feel like this one's a little bit riskier just because, again, the vagueness of the synopsis, but I'm also not against that, because in a book that perhaps is very much led by intrigue that you create, I guess you don't want to tell the reader too much ahead of time. So perhaps that is actually going to be one of the strengths. But this is my spells and incantations. I also need an outstanding in lore, which asks for a translated book. So I have gone with What Are You Looking For Is in the Library, which premise actually reminds me a little bit of the Tiny Bookshop, which is my current game. So very fitting in that respect. I'm assuming it's gonna be like a bite-sized type of stories of each customer in the library and our main character-ish, but I feel like it's more so like POV rather than main character. But the enigmatic librarian just has this uncanny ability to... What is this? Oh my god, I still had one of that. I must have been on the read 20 at some point. Declutter an area with audiobook. Lol. Okay. They have an uncanny ability to read the person almost if they were a book and decide exactly what they're looking for and what they need in their life. And I'm assuming it is going to read maybe a little bit similar to Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which was a little bit hit or miss for me depending on the chapter. And I have also heard mixed things on this one. So this is one of the more risky ones for myself, just because the short story format, if it is a short story format, it can be a very easy thing to put down. And that is just not ideal for a readathon month, but we'll see how it goes. And worst comes to worst as well, we can swap it out or DNF and use a scroll to count that. But I also obviously really hope that that's not the case. I am currently reading a genuinely short story collection, and I'm actually really, really loving it. It is taking me forever though. So whilst I'm having an exquisite time, I'm also having a long time, which I don't have time for. I've said time so many times. I'm gonna stop, actually, I'm tripping myself out. But excited, but a little bit cautious on this one. We'll see how it goes. And the last subject, however, I still have 3 books left to show you, is Psionics and Divination. So I need all 3 grades in this cohort. Outstanding, the prompt was a genre spin. I was really hoping for speculative fiction or sci-fi, because there was also like not an overwhelming amount of fantasy going on in this TBR so far. It's a little bit unusual of a TBR for myself. But I got a romance. So romance it is, and I am going with The 7-Year Slip. I have read Dead Romantics, and I want to say it was also for the readathon at one point. I did enjoy it. It wasn't something that I kept thinking of. It didn't like stand out too much, but I did enjoy it, and I do have people in my life who really like the author's work, so I thought I will give The 7-Year Slip a go. You know, it does have some fantasy elements. That one day she finds a very attractive and charming man in her kitchen. I'm kind of hoping that the first move is to perhaps call for help. Could just be me. I'm gonna presume that romance ensues, but there's one issue. The man lives 7 years in the past. I am tentatively excited for this. I'm just really hoping to have a good moment to pick it up, especially if I'm feeling a little bit like a romance. Next, we do actually have a fantasy, but it is one that I'm kind of intimidated to read, not because of the text, but because of like the online expectations. And I know a lot of people really love this book, and I just tend to have really bad luck with books people like. The prompt was book with a TV or movie adaptation, and I didn't know this was actually even happening. I didn't want to reread anything, and a lot of the things with, you know, already out movies and whatnot have actually read already. So I did a little Google and I found this on the list. So I don't think it's actually like in the works necessarily, but it has been perhaps bought. I can't quite remember, but whatever, it counts. It's on the list. If the plans are in there, we'll count it. So, and it's also kind of like time for me to try it. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I am going to try Divine Rivals. All I know is that they exchange letters, which actually also fits another prompt, not that I need it. Just a little side note. It also has letters here. And that they're supposed to be from like journalists from separate sides or something. I could, you would say, just read a synopsis, but I actually really don't want to. I do want to go into this like as blindly as I can. Very, very neutral expectations to set myself a bigger success, and I feel like maybe this is the way to go. What I am nervous for is, because this is somewhat of a historical setting, that does tend to have the type of older English writing style that I personally really struggle to connect with and also read. It's just not my favorite. The way that it is structured, the way that things are approached, it's not something that tugs at my heartstrings. I think that it does to some other people. And so I worry about that because it immediately makes me more disconnected from the book, even if it's done right. So it's just a shame. Like, obviously there's exceptions to the rule, but it's just always, I'm always cautious. But I do know this has a lot of admirers, and I am willing to give it a go, and I guess the time is nigh. And then the last prompt is book that fits a theme from your recent dream. And you know what? This was my one non-negotiable book to include into this TBR. This author actually tends to release books, I feel, every time before, like once a year before a semester, and I feel like this is so perfect. And this author to me is someone who really helps me when I am slumping, so it could not be more perfect, and it had to go into my TBR. It's also their first adult book, so I'm extra excited for that. So I was going to fit this no matter where I would need to fit it. I could have found other slots for it, but lucky for me, I had a dream of me getting an MRI scan. It did turn into a nightmare actually, which also fitting. Immediately after, you know, the nightmare sweats and anxiety wore off, I was like, you know what? I am going to capitalize on this misfortune because there's like bad things that happen in the in the MRI machine. The magnets, I don't know if I was an android, but they started like pulling at my, you know what doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure there is what I'm assuming an MRI scan image on, I mean, obviously it's stylized and like there's trees in the brain, which would be problematic, but it's the new Holly Jackson book called Not Quite Dead Yet. And also there's like MRI little scans here, so we're gonna count it. All I know is that the main character gets attacked, she suffers a severe brain injury, and the doctors are sure that within a week she's going to have a severe aneurysm and basically is going to die. But the main character then stubbornly is like, okay, well, if I am going, I am at least finding out who attacked me before I go, and that is the thriller, I guess. So I have also heard mixed things about this, which actually breaks my heart. However, I stay positive, I stay hopeful, because I have also heard actually bad things about Five Survive, and I still ate that shit up, and I still liked it. And you know what? I feel like I normally really am aware of what I'm expecting from these books, and they always deliver for what I need. So this is my definitely like top yay kind of book from the TBR. So let me just like set expectations so that at the end I can look back at this and be like, oh, was I really wrong about this or was really right about that? So these are, oh god, these are all the books that I'm hoping to read in the, well, I better read. I'm gonna say I'm hoping for like a 4.5 from this one. I'm hoping really to really enjoy it, or like a 4. They're not always like 5 stars, but they're like 5-starring in the intrigue and getting me out of slump kind of way. I'm gonna say 3 stars for this, but I will finish and will be probably appalled / entertained whilst reading it. This I'm gonna keep it at just 3. This I do hope that it's gonna go up to like a 4, or at least have like a really nostalgic good feel vibe that helps me set into the autumnal. If I had to guess the most likely to be DNF, it's either one of these two. Really hope it's obviously neither, but I'm just nervous about this one. Of course the hype was really big. Knowing my track record, I just fear to hope. So we're just gonna set the bar low. And this one is for all of the reasons that I basically told you. This one I'm actually gonna go very optimistic and say it's gonna be a 4, because I am hoping to be entertained and also to have like mainly like a light read situation where it's still very kind of entertaining. And this I genuinely have no clue. So I'm gonna just guess 3, but it could be a DNF, it could be a 5. Honestly, no clue. But that is my TBR. Let me know if we accidentally ended up sharing some, or if you have read some and what you thought. I hope you are preparing for the readathon starting very, very soon. I hope you have a wonderful time as well, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.